Hey, good evening, everyone. I'm Grant Cunningham, and welcome to Training Talk right here on Personal Defense Network. What is Training Talk, you're wondering? Well, Training Talk is the show where we talk about you, about your life, and how you can protect it. In the next hour, we're going to look at how you can equip and prepare yourselves to face that worst case scenario and keep you and your family safe from harm. We don't do religion or politics on the show, so you're not going to hear any crazy conspiracy theories or weird fringe commentary. We've got enough of that already. Just reliable, authoritative information that you can put to use in your life right away. And if you like this adult approach to talking about personal defense and all the things that go with it, would you mind sharing the show with your friends and your neighbors and your coworkers on social media and all of those places? I'd sure appreciate it. And I think that they'll enjoy it and they'll thank you for turning them on to it. So, welcome to the show. If you're tuning in for the first time, thanks for stopping by and checking us out. I hope you'll be a regular here. And if you're returning, thanks again for taking the time out of your schedule to sit down and learn some great safety information, how to keep yourself safe. So, it's if you're watching the show live, we're about 4 days away from the great eclipse of 2017, and that's coming up, and it's bringing with it all kinds of things. I'm going to talk about that in just a minute here, but I'm getting pretty excited about this because the last one that occurred in my part of the world was in 1979, and it was in February, and it was early in the morning, like 7:30 or 8 o'clock. And as is typical here in the state of Oregon, we had thick cloud cover. We couldn't even see the sun. And so when the eclipse happened, keep in mind, like it's early in the morning in winter, so it's not very bright out to begin with. We got heavy clouds and all that sort of thing. And so things just got a little dimmer. That's all I remember about that eclipse. And I'm really excited that this time I'm actually going to get to see it, hopefully. So I hope you enjoy the eclipse if you're in a place where you can see it. And this brings up something interesting. I wanted to touch upon this before we get to our topic tonight about technology and security and self-defense. And that is, lots of people are heading into areas where they can, into the areas of totality for this eclipse. And because it's cutting a wide swath across the country, I think this is the first time since the 18th century where a total eclipse has hit both coasts of the United States, and it's just cutting all across the country. Lots of people are heading like north and south and heading into the middle of the country to see the eclipse. And here in Oregon, it's no different. In fact, it's only Thursday again for the live show here, and we're already seeing massive traffic tie-ups on the back roads of Oregon and even some of our highways. And it's only going to get worse from here. And I want to talk just a bit about what happens when you get lots of people on the road at the same time and backups happen and tempers get short. And what we typically see is an increase in what we call road rage incidents. Now, I've looked at a lot of videos of road rage incidents that have happened over the years, and in a very large proportion of the cases, perhaps most of them, it's almost like mutual combat, because one guy will be driving along and he'll cut the other guy off, and this guy will start yelling and using single finger salutes, and this guy gets mad, and maybe this guy kind of comes up and gets around him, and it goes. And so they just sort of antagonize each other to the point that one of them pulls off the road and the other one pulls off the road after him. And before you know it, either somebody's getting themselves beaten up or somebody's getting shot because of this. Unfortunately, I know this is going to happen someplace in the United States during the eclipse, because there's going to be a lot of people on the road and a lot of short tempers because of that. A couple of things to keep in mind. First of all, that 15 feet of pavement that you're fighting over with the other guy in the other car just isn't worth either getting beaten up or getting shot or perhaps needing to shoot someone. It's just not worth it. First, take a breath. If that guy really wants that air that place so bad, let him have it. And when he takes it, don't get mad. Don't start yelling profanities, even with the windows up. I mean, we can all look in our rear view mirrors and we know when somebody's cursing at us. So don't do that. Don't give him the single finger salute. Don't do that. Just take a deep breath, let him have the space, and continue on with your journey. It's not worth fighting over who's in front of who, especially when you're all going, 20 miles an hour because there's a traffic tie up. If something does happen, remember that because of the heavy traffic, police response may be very slow or even non-existent. So it behooves everybody to settle down a bit and be courteous, and avoid these incidents. Courtesy goes a long way in these kinds of things, especially when you're on your own. Now, if somebody just insists on really getting aggravated about you, uh, doing the gestures and the profanity and all that sort of thing, keep your cool. If he pulls off the road, don't pull off the road with him. Go past him. If you're near an exit, get off the exit. And if he or she, as the case may be, follows you, go to ideally a police station or some other area where there are lots of people, where they'll be less likely to want to engage in something. Unfortunately, you might find yourself in a situation where, with a traffic tie-up, you can't get to an exit very easily because traffic just isn't moving very well. You may have to go on the shoulder and drive away that way, or even drive on the median if you have to. Yes, it's illegal to do both of those things, but if it's a choice between that or getting beaten up, I'll take the ticket. Thank you very much. Remember that if you're in that stop and go traffic, leave some space between you and the car in front of you. If you're stopped, try to stop so that you can see where the rear tires of the vehicle in front of you contact the pavement. That gives you enough maneuvering room so that if you do need to get onto the median or onto the shoulder and drive away, you can. You've got enough room to maneuver around and get where you need to go. Again, we go back to the key word here, courtesy. Let things roll off your back and enjoy the spectacle of a very unusual total solar eclipse in the United States. It should be a lot of fun, and with a little bit of thought and a little bit of simple patience, everybody will get to enjoy it and tell their grandkids about it someday. It'll be awesome. So that's about all I've got to say about that. And like I said, things are starting to heat up here in the state of Oregon. Lots and lots and lots of traffic in here. Oh, by the way, I know it's hot in a lot of places in the United States. And as our friend Caleb Causey always says, drink water. Delicious. Anyway, so tonight's show is one that I'm really excited about. First of all, because the guest on the show is PDN contributor Joshua Gideon, who is not only a contributor here, but also a friend of mine. We do a lot of things together, and Josh is an expert in the technology around personal safety and self-defense. And whenever I need some information about things like, I don't know, securing my DSL modem, how to do that, things like that, Josh always has the answer for me. Now, he's been around the security industry for over 20 years. Hard to believe because he's only 32 years old, or at least he only looks 32 years old. But during that time, he's been hired to test the defenses of some of the most secure facilities around the world. That we won't go any further. He's protected sports stars and celebrities, and he's trained hundreds of people how to defend themselves. Now, he's noticed over the years that a lot of people are very vulnerable when technology is involved, and his goal is to help people limit their vulnerabilities and use technology to facilitate their self-defense. In his day job, this is not just what he does as a hobby. In his day job, he is the senior agency information security officer for a data company. He manages the security and compliance of the company, and he spends most of his days doing risk assessments and mitigating vulnerabilities that arise out of that. So he really knows his stuff, and I don't know anybody that knows it as well as he does. So welcome back to the show, Joshua Gidding. You've been on before. Are you there?
I'm here. Yeah. Thanks,
There he
Grant.
is. Wonderful. Hey, thanks for coming on the show tonight.
Well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate you and Rob both letting me have another chance to be on the show.
Well, I'm glad that it's been several months since I think that you were on the show last, and I don't even remember what the topic was, but it was an awesome one, whatever it was. And tonight probably going to be great as well. And I know you've got stuff to show and tell tonight too.
Oh yeah, I've
which is
got all
gonna be
kinds
awesome.
of fun stuff.
There's all kinds of stuff. I've seen it. I've had a sneak preview, folks. I know what's coming up. So, hey, what are you doing for the Eclipse? Are you going to do anything exciting?
We're having at my office. I'm actually in my office right now. We're going to have an Eclipse party here. So we're gonna all take a break and go out, and where we're at, we're only going to see a partial eclipse. So we're going to go to the top of our parking garage and see what we can see.
Cool. Oh, I hope you have fun, and it's probably better than trying to be out on the road heading to the path of totality at this point.
Exactly.
Oh, boy, I'm lucky. The path of totality goes like right over my house. So I don't have to go anywhere. Don't have to do anything. All I have to do is walk down into the south pasture and sit down and watch it. It's going to be awesome.
Nice. Bring your water.
What's that? Oh yeah, bring water. Remember what Caleb Causey says, folks. It's if you tuned in the show last week, you remember it was awfully hot in my office, and it's not as bad as it was last week, but it's still awfully warm in here. So I'm still having to use my insulated hydro flask here, and hydro flask, and an Oregon company, by the way. So I guess let's get started, because there's just a whole pile of stuff, and I made a lot of notes about stuff that I want to talk about, and I guess we'll start with the idea that a lot of people, when they think of technology, right, such as securing their technology, such as their smartphones, they know it's important to avoid things like financial crimes and identity theft, which is still huge right now. But it goes further than that, doesn't it? Can what happens in the virtual world make the real world unsafe?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think we're starting to see that more and more as we kind of come into that age of the Internet of Things, where we have little gadgets that are connected to networks and have other types of network and internet access. We're going to see that more and more. So things that weren't necessarily vulnerable before may be vulnerable now and can cause issues in your in the real world. So.
One of the things that I'd like you to define for us, because I know that a lot of people are a little hazy. We hear all the time about the Internet of Things. What is that?
Okay. Well, basically what that is we're starting to see more and more of these gadgets. So, you might have a refrigerator that has, wireless internet access, and that refrigerator goes and can, tell you when you're, when a particular shelf is low, or let you, make notes, all kinds of different types of connectivity depending on the brand. It can even control the temperature inside, things like that. We actually have one of those fast cookers, the pressure cookers.
Yeah.
And it's got Bluetooth in it. So, so I mean, we're starting to see more and more of these gadgets that traditionally did not have that kind of connectivity, now have that connectivity, so you can interface with them. it's really cool. This pressure cooker, I can put some food in it, we'll seal it up. It's fine. And on my way home from work, log into it and press a button. It starts cooking. It's done by the time I get home.
I suppose that shouldn't surprise me. I've got a flashlight that has Bluetooth connectivity. Or
absolutely.
The Smart Quark from 4.7s.
Absolutely. Yeah, I got mine on me right here.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. It's flashlight show and tell.
So I now, because I had heard stories about toasters having connectivity in them.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, so it's like, so you're like, oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. The technology's advanced so far that you can put these embedded systems into just about anything. Something that had knobs and buttons before can now be controlled by a circuit board on the back end that has internet access. So
the and I'll probably get this wrong, but there were a lot of security concerns raised about the connected televisions, and particularly Amazon's Alexa. Is that right?
Sure. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And the idea that those devices could be used to actually spy on you and keep track of your activities. So that means that, like, your refrigerator could spy on you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. What in fact, with the data leaks from the NSA, we found that the code was already written to do that on certain televisions. So,
oh wow,
we're well past that, and it's unfortunately that's just the world we live in.
Okay, so I'm used to having security on my computer, which is sitting in front of me here, and that's what we're conversing over. I'm used to being able to have plenty of options for security on this. Can you secure your refrigerator?
Yeah, sure. That technology is still evolving, and we're kind of at the infant stages of it. So, first of all, proper design from the manufacturer to limit those security vulnerabilities is really important. But, the average consumer is not going to sit and do research on whether the manufacturer programmed their device properly, So you don't really have firewalls and antivirus, anti-malware software and stuff that'll run on these devices yet. That's we're way in the infant stages of that. So at this point, we're really reliant on the software being programmed correctly and keeping it up to date. So that's and we'll probably talk about that a little bit in the show.
So at this point in time, given all of these devices that are connected, and the code is out there to compromise them, I guess the question is, can the average, or perhaps maybe above average, thief out there get his hands on the code to, say, monitor your comings and goings through your TV and break into your house when it's best for him?
Yeah, the code is out there. I'm not sure that your average thief has that capability, but it is easily accessible for someone who's knowledgeable and searching for it.
Okay. So this is a real vulnerability. This is not just like, paranoia.
Yeah, no. And that's the tough part of risk assessment, is determining how the probability and that something's going to happen, and then what the impact of that is. So we we have to kind of gauge that a little bit. And, those of us who live in that world, we're constantly, trying to figure out what that risk level is, to help us determine what's important, what we need to do to mitigate those vulnerabilities. So.
I read there's been a lot of news stories lately about something which I think is related to this called G-SOAP.
Yeah.
What is that, and why is it a risk?
Yeah. So G-SOAP is a tool for programmers. Okay. So it's basically like pre-written code that a programmer can use when they're writing their own programs. They kind of use these shortcut libraries, and they'll embed them into their software.
So this is like clip art for software engineers, right?
Yeah, sure. Okay. That works. Yeah, sure. So that's it's great for programmers, because it does shortcut the process, and you get that pre-built pieces that you don't have to program from scratch anymore. So you've got the all these pieces installed inside of an existing piece of software. Well, there's some problems with that. Say for instance, you have an alarm system with internet access at your house. Okay. And it's you've got all the fancy apps and everything, so you can arm it, disarm it from your smartphone and whatever. Well, if they use this G-SOAP, these G-SOAP modules, when they built the software, when this vulnerability was discovered, that system could be open to being broken into. So someone on the internet or outside your home could have connected to it using this vulnerability to connect in. And I don't want to get too technical on how it worked, but basically they could use that vulnerability to break in. And what's really bad about that is you've kind of got a process so G-SOAP was actually really pretty much Johnny on the spot on fixing the problem. Okay. So they wrote a patch for their software. So their libraries were patched. Okay. Well, every manufacturer that ever used this G-SOAP software has to now update their software with these new libraries. Okay, well, that's going to take some time, right? Well, the problem even goes further in that once those are installed, or once that update is available, the end user, the consumer, actually has to install that patch. And that's where the real problem lies. The average user, if the piece of hardware, their alarm system or their refrigerator or whatever device, doesn't have an automatic updating system built into it, and a lot of them don't, then that has to be done manually. Now, who thinks when they're going, to get a glass of milk out of the refrigerator that, oh yeah, I need to update my software on my refrigerator because of that G-SOAP vulnerability that was out.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Okay, so this stuff is out there, and it's a known weakness now. And we're talking millions of devices, aren't we?
Oh yeah. I've talked to some organizations that have devices within their this is corporate infrastructure, okay, and they're going through all their devices and everything. And one particular organization that I'm thinking about, they discovered about 30 devices that were vulnerable. some of them had patches. Some of them, the software vendors hadn't even written the patches yet for it. Even though G-SOAP was on top of things and had their patch, the vendor for that particular hardware did not have the patch out yet. So, there's that, and that delay makes you vulnerable. So, at some point in a corporate environment, now we have to make a decision. Are we going to keep using this device, or are we going to replace it or suspend the use of it until we can patch it and get it up to date?
Wow. That's boy, that's a huge problem.
It is.
And having done software updates on connected cameras I've had, or other little devices that I use on a daily basis, and sometimes updating the firmware in those devices is not very easy to do.
Oh, that's true. Well, okay, think about it right now. Who has updates sitting, Windows updates sitting there, Apple updates, their iPhone has apps that are sitting there waiting to be updated. Who has that currently right at this moment? I'd say probably half the people that are watching this probably do.
In fact, I'm looking at my iPhone here, and let's see. I can go to software update here, and I'm not even going to tell you how many. Maybe I should get busy on that. Oh man,
we're going to pause for a few minutes while Grant updates his phone.
Whoa, I didn't even. Yeah, okay. I've got a whole bunch I need to update. Okay, so this is really. Oh man, and so these are all, information is incredibly important, and like I said, banking identity theft is one thing, but when they can use that to track your physical activities and know either when you're not home or maybe when you are home, that's a little scary.
Absolutely.
Wow. So the way this whole show came up was I had, and for everybody out there, I had here a couple of weeks ago, or last week, a couple of weeks ago now, I had opportunity to drive a rental car, and I was driving all over for a day in this rental car. And in the past, whenever I've gotten into the rental car, I've paired my iPhone with the Bluetooth system in the car so that, I had hands-free audio and all that kind of thing, because my vehicle is old enough, it doesn't do that. And so it's always nice to be able to pair it and be able to make phone calls going down the highway, with the controls on the steering wheel, all that kind of thing. And this time, for some reason, I thought, I wonder if that's a good idea. And so I had enough doubt in my mind that I didn't pair it up with this car. And when I got back, I shot Josh a note, and I said, "Hey, Josh, is this a problem?" He says, "Oh, yes." So Josh, what are the problems with pairing your phone in a rental car?
Well, now it's more than that. Okay. It's more than just the pairing. Okay.
Okay.
Most vehicles, they also have little Bluetooth adapters. Most people think, I'll just stick my USB cable in there, or I'm sorry, USB adapters in addition to the Bluetooth pairing. So they plug their little USB adapter in, and that also initiates a sync in some vehicles. Okay, so it's not just the Bluetooth, but also even the plugs that you're plugging into to charge. Yeah. So, yeah,
you tell me this.
Yeah, I know.
You didn't tell me this part.
I was saving it for the show, Grant. So yeah, there's a little bit more to it than just the Bluetooth pairing, but anytime you connect with that in-vehicle computer, you have the ability to sync your address book it can pass off information, your phone number, your carrier information, all your call logs. So in case you wanted to scroll through and call the last person that you called, all that's syncing on the hard drive in that in-vehicle system. Okay, your address book, your text messages, even your GPS locations. Not just the GPS locations that you're using right there in that moment, but all of them that are stored on your phone. Okay, and I'm not going to tell people how to do it, but there are ways to get access to that information in most vehicles. So, you get access to that data, and you got a lot of information on a person.
And you were telling me that once it has your phone's unique ID number, that you can actually track that phone after the fact using that unique number?
There are some tools out there that allow you to do that, there's the possibility that, and I don't think anybody's done it yet, but there's some theories running around that you may even be able to clone a phone based on the information that you can get off of that. So, yeah. So, and you can imagine what somebody can do with that.
Holy cow! So the tech. Well, actually, it doesn't even have to be. So somebody who's technically savvy can get this information. Then they can clone my phone. They can track my movements.
Absolutely.
They have my address book.
Oh yeah, they know where you've been.
If I were a high enough value target, that would basically be like handing my head on a platter, right?
Oh, pretty much, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
So
but there's some things you can do though.
Okay.
Well, okay. So first of all, if you need to charge your phone, use the least intrusive port in that vehicle. That's the cigarette lighter.
Okay. Don't use the USB outlets.
Right. Don't use the USB outlets.
Okay.
Okay. Just get one of those little cheap, US or cigarette lighter USB adapters and charge it from that. Okay. Make sure you get one that's for your that's a correct one for your particular phone and is at the right voltage and everything.
Right.
Amperage and all that. But just make sure that you get the right one. But yeah, that's probably the first step. The second is don't connect your phone to the in-vehicle computer unless you absolutely have to. And I understand. There are times where you may driving in really bad traffic and things like that. Having that hands-free system, the ability to talk to people while you're driving, I get it. That's the technology exists for a reason. Yeah. So, but if you don't have to, don't do it. If you must, if you do have to, there are permission settings on the phone. You don't have to give all that information to the in-vehicle computer. You can actually set the permissions to only allow certain things to access it. Depending on the particular phone you have different options on how to do that. And Google it if you don't know.
Okay.
But another thing is if you do end up connecting it, say for instance a rental car, we were in your particular case, when you're done, before you turn in the rental car, delete that profile out of the system. Okay, so in the in-vehicle computer, there's typically a way to get in and actually select deleting that phone out of there. Now, it's not gonna, depending on the car system and how it stores the data and whatever, there may still be some remnants there, but it does go a long way to helping clean up your tracks. So
okay.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Now, I've never looked at any of I didn't know you could do that. Is there a way that in the in-car systems, like, for instance, my iPhone or my iPad, there's an option to basically destroy all the data and reset everything? Do they have that function usually?
It depends on the model.
Okay.
Yeah, it just depends. I believe my vehicle does. Um, uh, but I'm trying to think. I have a friend who has a Mercedes Benz, and I'm not sure that they have that option in there. I'd
Okay.
have to look it up to be sure.
So the next time I get a rental car, the first thing I'm going to do is pull out the instruction manual for the audio system.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, actually, here's the best thing to do. Amazon, buy a Bluetooth headset.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, here's the cool thing about that. If you happen to get a rental car without an in computer or access to Bluetooth and all that, you still have it. And you also have it outside of your vehicle. So if you get to your destination, you decide to rent one of those bikes in a town and want to ride around the town, or go canoeing on the canal or whatever, you've still got your the ability to hands-free talk on it.
Good point.
So,
okay, so I'm going to make a note on my travel packing list to start re-including my cigarette lighter adapter,
yeah,
which I've actually eliminated from my my travel kit because I haven't really needed it, because all the cars have USB connectors. I don't think I'm going to be using those anymore. All right, I want to take a break here for just a second. Do you mind if we talk about premium membership here?
right.
Yeah, because you know all about this. So I'm sure that if you've been on the PDN site, Personal Defense Network site, any time at all, that you've seen the little dialog boxes that say sign up for premium membership. And you probably wondered, what is that? Premium membership at Personal Defense Network is where we have all of the enhanced features and enhanced content here. Now, you've no doubt seen a lot of the great videos and articles, and some of which Josh has written here on the public side of Personal Defense Network. But on the premium side, on the membership side, we have even more. We've got full DVD length videos, training videos. We've got video collections. We've got exclusive content. We've got online classes. We've got all kinds of stuff on the premium side of Personal Defense Network. There's just all kinds of things. I haven't seen them all, and I've been a member since we first started. And you can get premium membership. I think it's $39.95 a year, but because you're watching this show, we've got a deal for you. You can get your first year, full year of premium membership here at Personal Defense Network for only $10. Only $10. And how do you get that? Well, when you're checking out, when you've signed up for a premium membership, there's a little, like a box or a coupon code or something there. And if you put in the word Grant 10, that's GRANT, the number 1, the number 0, all one word, Grant 10, you'll get your first year of premium membership at Personal Defense Network for only $10. Now, this isn't like limited membership or restricted membership, or you can only be on it 30 minutes a day membership. No, this is full premium membership at Personal Defense Network for only $10 for your first year. It allows you to try the service out, see what you think about it. I think you're going to be blown away by the stuff we have on the premium membership side here at Personal Defense Network. Lots and lots of stuff. Lots of videos from people that you've seen here on Training Talk. Lots of videos from our executive director, Rob Pincus. Just all kinds of things covering a very, very wide variety of self-defense and personal safety topics. So check that out. Get your first year membership at Personal Defense Network for only $10. Remember, put in the code GRANT10, GRANT, the number 1, the number 0, all one word, and you'll get that first year membership at only $10. It's a steal. It's a whale of a deal. So take advantage of it. So I had to get that in, Josh.
No, that's great. It is. That is one of the best deals on the internet. I'm telling you.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, you can stay, you can sit there for hours and hours and hundreds of hours.
Oh, I have.
You don't have to admit it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been there. Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's get back to talking about technology and security. So we talked about pairing your cell phone in a rental car, and as I said, that was sort of what started off this whole discussion. Is when I asked you about that and discovered that I had no idea that you could do that. And I guess I'm continually surprised at the pace of technology and what it can do, especially in the wrong hands. Now, when Josh and I were talking about this whole thing about pairing your phone with the car navigation system, we were talking about this. And Josh says, "Oh yeah, by the way, don't use the remote on your car." What? So, I mean, I love the car remotes. They're great, particularly in terms of being able for someone to access their car, get into it very quickly, minimize their exposure to danger. But as it happens, they can also work against us. So, Josh, what are some of the ways that car remotes can be compromised and actually reduce our physical security?
Well, yeah, what we're talking about are these little key fobs here. The little key fobs on your that lock and unlock and remote start and panic button and all that fun stuff on there. So they basically run off of a radio frequency, right? Man, I remember back in the probably mid to early 90s that you could find plans on the internet on how to clone or intercept the signal on garage door remote controls, and then you go wreak havoc through your neighborhood on your bike, opening up everybody's garage door as you went down the road. Not that I ever did that, but theoretically that's what was possible. So, but later on, I remember I was at a computer convention and saw a guy basically do the same thing with a car door lock. And I think it was a Ford Taurus, late 90s Ford Taurus, that, he had this little device that he put together. It intercepted the signal when the person hit the lock button, walked away. So just imagine, the person pulls into the mall, gets out of their vehicle, hits their lock button. The guy, a couple, rows down, is sitting there with this little device listening. He intercepts that signal, that radio frequency signal. Okay. And he has, he knows that the unlock frequency is probably pretty close to the lock frequency, or there's some kind of formula that determines what that is. Person walks into their walks into the mall, and he walks over to the car, hits the unlock frequency, and maybe the remote start frequency, and or whatever. But your all your goods are stolen out of your vehicle, and and maybe your car is gone by when you come out.
I didn't even think about the remote start part of it.
Well, yeah, sure. Yeah. So, it's, and I oversimplified that, obviously. A lot of, most of the newer ones have frequency hopping and encryption and things like that. But, really, even with those things in place, it's still not too difficult to build devices that'll still do that interception and still work theoretically the same way.
So I'm reminded when we're talking about this, and people may be thinking, well, that's pretty sophisticated technology, maybe beyond even a really smart crook. But I think back to the credit card skimmers that are just endemic.
Oh yeah.
all over the country, and really stupid thieves are using these things because some other really smart thief put together a package that even an idiot could use
That's right.
to steal credit cards. So is it reasonable to assume that perhaps some of these somebody's put together some of these devices and they're running around out in the wild being sold?
Oh yeah, there's sites out there that you can buy them from. That's yeah.
Oh,
I'm not going to give you the sites, but
don't no. Don't.
There are places to find them that are pre-built, so the average criminal can use them.
And maybe he doesn't steal your car. Maybe he lays down in the back and waits for you to get into it, and right.
Absolutely.
Oh boy.
Takes you to your ATM and steals all the, makes you withdraw all your money.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. So technology is like anything else. It's a double-edged sword. It can be used to help us, but sooner or later, some enterprising person is going to figure out a way to use it against us.
Right.
Okay. So, which brings me to a topic that I know is near and dear to your heart. So we've got skimmers out there taking credit card information from people. And I'm sure just about everybody has read at least one news report where they discovered spy cameras like in ladies' dressing rooms and things.
Oh, yeah.
And so these things have gotten like really small and really inexpensive, haven't they?
Oh man. Oh, absolutely. The form factors for these just keep getting smaller and smaller. We've got some that run on lithium-ion batteries, so they have extremely long battery lives. They've got Bluetooth and Wi-Fi access, and they have built-in. They've got apps for them. They've got web browsers built into them. Web browser access. So they're these little bitty devices start becoming which is great. If you need to monitor your babysitter, you need to watch your house or your car while you're away and be alerted that if anybody comes near, so like you said, it's a two-edged sword. It can be used for good, but it can, on the flip side, it can be used, for bad as well.
And I think it's important to point out that these are not, these are not nefarious devices that you have to go to some sketchy website to get. These things are sold on Amazon.
Oh yeah, totally. In fact, I'll show you some here in a few minutes.
Yeah, let's see them. Let's see them.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you. Last April, in the town I live in, an employee at a local gym was arrested for putting a spy cam in the tanning bed area.
Okay, so I know where you live.
Yes,
right.
In a little bitty town.
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, exactly.
So they're all over.
Yeah, they're all over. In fact, it was very similar to this one.
Okay, so you got a coat hook there, right?
Yeah, looks like a coat hook, doesn't it? Yeah, sure. But if you look right up here in the top, I don't know if you can see that
little hole.
Cam there. Okay, now this has a built-in battery. It has a place for a micro USB card.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. You can plug in the little micro card in there, and 64 gigs of storage. That's a lot of video. Okay, it's motion activated. So this is basically what the guy put in there. Okay, and to the average person looking at this, they probably wouldn't recognize this as a camera.
And that's something you can buy that on Amazon, right?
Oh yeah, you can buy it on Amazon, eBay, lots of different websites out there.
How much does some of that cost?
Oh, most of these are less than $50.
Oh man.
Yeah. And I'm really, I'll sit there and shop for it because I use these for demonstrations and stuff like that. Executive protection courses that I've done, I will put these in a hotel room and see, they're supposed to be doing a sweep and trying to figure out. I've got some funny video from that. I'll have to take the time, but people looking straight at it and not recognizing what it is. So, and these are pros. Now, these are pros. These are guys that do this for a living that are missing these things. So, yeah. Let's see. Here's one of the smaller ones. See how small that is?
Wow.
All self-contained. It has its own little, recharger or battery charger. You can plug it in.
So am I seeing infrared LEDs around that?
Oh yeah, this is a night vision camera.
Okay. Yeah. And somebody could put that someplace and hide it in a way that you wouldn't see it.
Absolutely. Let's see. I think it was this April that a couple in Taiwan rented an Airbnb, and when they got to the apartment, they were pretty technically savvy, and they recognized that the smoke detector looked a little sketchy. So the closer they looked at it, they realized that it was a camera. And then they started searching a little bit more and found, I think they found 5 cameras spread out through the Airbnb rental that they had. So, I mean, this is, this has got the built-in, wireless access. I think it even has a remote to it. Yeah. So, and I mean, smoke detector, who would think? It sits when it's turned on, it flashes like a smoke detector would.
Wow.
So,
okay. So,
I've got more.
Oh yeah, let's. We've got a few minutes. Let's take a look at one or two more.
So this is one that really disturbed me. See what that is?
Looks like an AC adapter.
Yeah, it looks like just a power cord adapter, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And if you look at it, right there in the center is a camera.
Okay, I'm looking hard at the screen, and
yeah, I mean, wow. Even in person, I'm looking at it, and I have a hard time figuring out where it's at. Okay, wow. This plugs in, so it's getting power all the time. The battery's not going to run out on it.
Does it actually work as a USB? Does it actually have a functional USB port? So somebody could look at that and say, "Oh yeah, I'll use that."
No, it actually takes. Yeah, it has the USB port, but it also takes the micro cards as well, micro SD cards.
Rather.
Yeah. So, yeah, tons of storage on here, and most people would not recognize that.
Unlimited power.
Yeah, I don't have it with me, but I also have one that looks like an iPhone charger, the little square iPhone charger, looks just like that. So, it's important that people, first of all, don't get paranoid over that.
Okay. Yeah. Now you tell me don't get paranoid after showing me that.
But you're now educated. Now you know what these devices look like. Here's something that I have and recommend. Now, this is a really cheap version of this, but it's actually a camera detector. Okay? You can get these for about $10 on Amazon. Okay? What it does is it's got a little antenna. Now, remember, it's only going to pick up from the side. If you point it at it, it's not going to work. It's going to pick it up from the side because of this type of antenna. But it has a little, I don't know if you can tell, but it has a little frequency gauge on it.
Yeah.
So, and it's scanning. Different ones have different frequencies. This is just a cheap one. I think it was $10 on Amazon. But basically, what it'll do is it'll read the meter will go, and as you get close to something that's emitting a frequency, the meter will go up on it. So if you need to scan your hotel room or whatever, it also has a viewfinder in it. Now, what that does is it's got little LED lights that are red LEDs. And it's a little gimmicky, but it actually does work. If you look through the little viewfinder and point it at an area that you suspect might have a camera, what will happen is those lights will reflect off the lens, even the pinhole cameras, and you'll be able to see it pretty clear on there. It'll shine really bright to let you know where those are. So, and there's more professional tools out there than this. But for the average person, if they want to check out their hotel room before they hop in the shower or whatever,
Okay.
this is a good.
I suspect that we have just spiked Amazon as everybody's going to Amazon and ordering one of those.
Don't you have an affiliate link for that?
Yeah, we should put affiliate links. We'd make a fortune.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I'll have links for all this stuff on my website. So.
Wow. Okay. In fact, believe it or not, oh my God, we're running out of time already.
Oh man.
We are just getting started with this, and now we're running out of time. Okay, so I guess we're going to have to take this up at another time because there's still a whole lot more to talk about.
Oh man, tons more to talk about.
Okay, Josh, do us a favor. Tell people how they can get in touch with you and your website and all that kind of thing.
Okay, yeah, sure. People can get a hold of me on my personal website. It's Personal Defense Tech, so tech.com, and they can also go to the Personal Defense Network website and see some of the articles that I've written there, and my contact information is on there as well. Again, sign up for premium membership.
and don't forget that code, Grant10,
That's right,
Grant10, the number 1, the number 0. Make sure you don't forget that. Well, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it very much. Oh wow. Okay. I'm never gonna pair my phone in a rental car again.
And update your cell phone.
Yes, I will do that tonight. All right. So thank you again for coming on. And
thanks for having me.
Having you again on soon. Before we go, though, I want to remind everybody our next show is going to be the first Thursday of September, which is the 7th. It's the Thursday after Labor Day. Is that Labor Day? Yeah, that's Labor Day. So be sure and check in then. 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll be there. I want to remind everybody about my new book, which just came out, Prepping for Life, the Balanced Approach to Personal Security and Family Safety. And that's available now on Amazon in paperback form and in Kindle form. And it's available on the iBooks bookstore, obviously, for your iOS devices. So that's available. Check that out. And let's see what else. Let's see. We've talked about the next show. We've talked about my book. We've talked about Josh's website. We've talked about premium membership for only $10. Remember that code, Grant10, Grant, the number 1, the number 0. I had to say that, and I was running out of breath. And so remember, everybody, stay safe, particularly over this Eclipse weekend. If you're watching the show live and coming up on Eclipse, be careful in traffic. Chill out, enjoy it. Don't let things get to you. Don't let people antagonize you, and don't antagonize anybody else. And that way you will stay safe during this event. So thank you again for tuning in. I hope to see you on the first Thursday of next month, the 7th at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, for another episode of Training Talk. We'll see you then. And until then, folks, stay safe. Bye-bye.